Hey there, Wes Dove here with Dove Development and Consulting. So leading up to this point, we've looked at profitability killers, specifically the things that in most industries are impacting the profit that companies get to keep that often go undetected. We've looked at some of the high risk areas. We've even worked through the idea that it all starts at the top from leadership down. Everything rises and falls on leadership is what I've heard John Maxwell say more than anything else over the last 25 years. Now, most recently, we started digging into the cost that we see in any organization with poor communication, and most specifically, how that digs into that profitability, how it becomes one of those profitability killers. What we're about to do is we're gonna look at where it really adds some fuel to the fire, and we're gonna really dig into the areas that can be specifically impacted by poor communication. So in doing that, what we'll dig into is how poor communication really eats away at and impacts engagement, that leads to the whole idea of buy-in from the employees and how people really build to that profitability. And I'm going to give you a spoiler here and say it really ties back to relationships. And when we have those, when we can when we have good communication, when we invest the time, the energy, and we can be effective in that communication, all three of those things, the engagement, the buy-in, the relationships, yield so many dividends. We can see it in our profitability. Then we're going to go into how important clear, concise, consistent communication is for setting expectations, eliminating confusion, and thereby reducing the downtime that we can see in an organization when we have those clear expectations, when we don't have that confusion. And oh, by the way, when we can eliminate or at least reduce a lot of that downtime, we're going to see more profit. And then we're going to dig into what happens when we reach a tipping point and how those things, the downtime, the engagement, the buy-in, the relationships, how those all spill over into our recruitment retention processes. Now, we won't go into any one of those things in depth right now, but we will be digging into each. Right now, my goal is to really set the tone for how poor communication impacts each of those other things behind the idea of the leadership at the very top levels of the organization really impacts so many other things. Communication is second only to that. And oh, by the way, I would say it's kind of neck and neck when the top leaders aren't communicating effectively or enough or in a way that matters. So we'll work through some of those things. Moving forward, we're going to start looking at what are some specific practices that we can take to really communicate well and to make sure it's received the way we need it to, when we need it to be received, and how we need it to be received. But that will be soon, not here right now. What you should have access to here is the opportunity, wherever you're accessing, hearing me say these words, you should be able to access our complimentary assessment that we built specifically to help you identify your number one profitability killer in your organization and intentionally work toward how can we help you fix it. Look forward to hearing your feedback. Hopefully that's through a one-on-one conversation about how we can begin addressing that profitability killer. And until then, make it a great day. God bless.